Have you ever looked back at someone's life and wondered, why doesn't mine look like that? Maybe they were more successful, more confident, more talented. Maybe they seemed to have everything figured out while you were still trying to find your place. There's a quote that's been going around for years: comparison is the thief of joy. And for the longest time, I believed it. I thought comparison was something to avoid, something that only made us insecure, something that stole our confidence. But over time, I started to think that maybe comparison wasn't the problem. Maybe the way we compare is. Because if comparison was always bad, why do the best athletes study other athletes? Why do artists learn from other artists they admire? Why do musicians even listen to other musicians that are better than themselves? Comparison can either become a prison or it can become a map. The difference is what you're looking for. For me, there was a time when comparison completely took over my life. And for example, I play football, or I guess soccer, and I was never the best. I've been playing this sport for 16 years, and I have completely dedicated many hours of my life to slightly improve myself in the game. Back when I was a freshman in high school, I barely made our junior varsity 2 team. And if you don't know what that is, it's just the lowest team in my school. At this time, I didn't care. I was just happy to be in the team. But as the season went on, I spent more time sat on the bench for games than actually even playing in them. This is when I started comparing myself to others on the team and even teams above. How come I'm stuck here on the bench for the worst team while there's people my age playing way higher? I started to compare myself to them and comparing the skills that they had. I was seeing players get all the glory, get posted on social media, and just overall get game time. I saw players my age getting professional contracts and playing around the world all over social media. I kept thinking to myself, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not working hard enough. Maybe everyone else has something I'll never have. My confidence slowly turned into self doubt. And the funny thing about football, and I guess in any sport, is when you're scared of making mistakes, you start making them even more. I thought to myself, I'll never be as good as them. And this is the part I'm not most proud about. But instead of striving to become the best version of myself in everything that I do, sometimes I would find someone who I knew wasn't as good as me, at least from the cover. Not because I wanted to help them, but because comparing myself to them made me feel better about myself. It gave me this temporary feeling that maybe I wasn't doing so badly after all. Looking back, that's one of the most prideful things I could have ever done. And I still sometimes do it, even if I don't mean to. The following year, I make a really close friend on the team. A friend who I wouldn't have known would be an important part of my life. They were just someone who completely changed the way I looked at improvement. We weren't the most talented players, we weren't the stars, but we didn't compare ourselves to others and their progress, but we rather just focused on ourselves. A great coach once told me, you can't eat an elephant whole. You gotta take it one bite at a time. And at the time, I thought, this is just another one of those coach messages to inspire you. But until I really understood what it meant, it means you're not gonna get better instantly. You're not gonna get better overnight. There's no formula to that. The only way to improve is 1% at a time. My friend and I would stay hours in the summer heat, Texas summer heat, and we would just train every day and finish completely exhausted. Some days we could barely feel our legs, but every day we got a little bit better. And that was the start of something great. Eventually, we both made varsity, and not because we suddenly became talented, but because hundreds of tiny improvements finally started adding up. Looking back, the players I spent comparing myself to probably weren't comparing themselves to me at all. They were too busy trying to become better than the person they were yesterday. And somewhere along the way, I finally understood why. For me, nothing around me actually changed. The people I compared myself to were still successful, social media still existed, people were still getting jobs, still getting professional contracts, and still achieving the things that I wanted. The only thing that changed was what I was measuring. I stopped asking, why aren't I where they are? And instead started asking, am I closer than I was 6 months ago? That question changed everything because someone's timeline was never supposed to be mine. Their life wasn't proof that I was behind. It was proof that progress was possible. I realized comparison wasn't stealing my joy. I was handing it over. Every time I measured my worth against someone else's highlights, I lost. But every time I measured myself against the person I used to be, I won. Now, don't get me wrong. I still compare myself. It's a natural human thing. But I do it just differently now. I compare my habits, my discipline, my mindset, my relationship with God, my growth. Not because I'm trying to become someone else, but because I'm trying to become the best version of myself. So maybe comparison isn't the thief of joy. Maybe unhealthy comparison is. Maybe healthy comparison is one of the greatest teachers we'll ever have. Because someone will always be ahead of you. Someone will always know more, and someone will always have more. But there will also be someone who looks at your life and hopes one day they'll be where you are. The goal was to never stop comparing. The goal was to compare the right things. And maybe the only person you're really competing with is the version of yourself that existed yesterday.